It is the highest honor in the global attractions industry, one that takes perseverance, dedication, and imagination. The IAAPA Hall of Fame celebrates industry leaders who challenge themselves and those around them to make dreams a reality. They are admired for their accomplishments, and they are selfless advocates who help grow and improve the entire industry. The IAAPA Hall of Fame Award was established in 1990 to celebrate these individuals' outstanding achievements and significant contributions to the global attractions industry. Since that time, dozens of industry pioneers and legends have received this prestigious honor. The innovative ideas and creative approaches have inspired success and fueled the growth and development of the industry, an industry that, like few others, depends on the imagination, talent, vision, and leadership of these dream builders.
Hello, I'm Michael Collins from Leisure Development Partners and Chairman of the IAAPA Hall of Fame and Archives Committee. Now it is my honour to introduce the 2020 IAAPA Hall of Fame inductees. From an ice cream scooper to a performer to an engineer, this year's three winners took very different paths to break into the attractions industry, but once they were in, their innovations and passionate leadership changed our industry forever. Let's meet our first inductee.
He was just 17 years old when he was hired to scoop ice cream on Disneyland's Main Street, USA in 1965. 5 years later, he worked in the model shop at Disney Imagineering. From that humble beginning, he became the creative visionary and inspirational leader behind many iconic attractions at Disney parks around the world. He was a master storyteller who climbed the ranks within Imagineering to bring intellectual properties to life for Disney guests to enjoy. He was the art director on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and helped redesign Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. He guided talented teams of Imagineers as they created legendary attractions, including Star Tours, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Splash Mountain, and the Indiana Jones Adventure. He also led the creative design team that developed Disneyland Paris. But it's not just about the attractions. He also created new ways to enhance and fully integrate merchandise and food and beverage experiences with those iconic attractions in a way that helped drive success. Perhaps his most important legacy, though, is how he mentored a number of other creative leaders in the industry. He's a Disney legend who even has a personalized window back on Disneyland's Main Street, USA, near the shop where he used to scoop ice cream. For his game-changing contributions to the attractions industry, and for his commitment to the power of transformative storytelling and imagination, IAAPA is proud to bestow its most prestigious honor and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Tony Baxter.
Well, hello. I sure wish I was down there in Orlando today, but I guess that's not going to happen. Hopefully we'll all be back together next year. But I'm sitting here in the next best thing. This is King Arthur's chair from the movie Camelot. And all my life, I've really loved the legends of King Arthur and the stories of Camelot. As a boy, I dreamed of the Round Table and Merlin, the magician, and all that. Never really dreaming that someday I would actually work in a industry where these are the things that we got to do. As a kid, you always dreamed of having a seat at the round table, and my gosh, this honor is something that's far beyond that, of being a part of the Hall of Fame at IAAPA. I mean, this is the round table for our industry, really. We're kind of an international Camelot, and IAAPA is the global round table for all of the wonderful worlds we create all over that bring dreams and realities to people the world over. I was lucky during my career. I did get to go all over the world, and I did get to create things for different cultures and different people. And that is, I think, one of the most exciting things you can have, all in the auspices of bringing fun and joy to the world. That is the most exciting thing. I think it really goes back to being a child and being given the ability to risk. I mean, I was allowed to do things as an 8-year-old that today would almost be criminal, And I think it's really important because in building up that risk, you build up a child's ability to believe in themselves and to initiate ideas and dreams and so forth, and not depend on someone else to supply them with that goal. And then later on, when I went to Imagineering, and I got mentors and various people that showed me that not only was risk-taking important, but without it, you make no progress. Without progress, your self-esteem and your understanding of your human being is in question. So I think all of this ties together. You know, today, I'm a part of the TEA committee on their THEA Awards. And what's great about that is, even though I'm no longer fully active in the business, I get to see every great accomplishment that's going on around the world. And I think that keeps the juices flowing, because you've got to be stimulated all the time. And, you know, when Tim O'Brien came to me with a notification that I was going to be given this great honor from IAAPA, I thought, well, there had to be a reason why I went back to WDI when they asked me to come in and advise on the redo of Splash Mountain, which we're doing right now. So I am technically back in the business, enjoying revisiting a project that we created almost 30 years ago. So that is really fun to me. Now, returning to this honor and how it relates back to Camelot and Arthur's Chair and the Round Table and everything, I think being inducted into this Hall of Fame is really like having a seat at the round table, a dream that goes back for me to early childhood, and which I have fulfilled by, this is the actual chair that, King Arthur sat in the movie Camelot. And so you can see in the environment here, I kind of live in this idea of creating places and worlds that are idyllic, and where problems are solved at tables rather than under stress. And I think what's great about IAAPA, it's a place where we all come together and share ideas and build things that are incredibly enlightening and rich for the rest of the world. And it is a global thing now. This is a global roundtable. And I am absolutely thrilled to be part of your organization in the esteemed Hall of Fame. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Tony. Tony, I understand you first pitched the idea to Michael Eisner that Disney should look beyond its intellectual properties for new attractions. He loved that idea, and you moved forward with your Star Tours attraction concept, followed by several more using non-Disney IP. What effect do you think that had on the Disney parks?
I think I have to kind of go back to the beginning. When Walt Disney opened Disneyland, he created a place that was perfectly in touch with the pop culture of America back in the mid-50s. From television with Davy Crockett to the movies with all the animated films, and the schools with all the nature elements and so forth. Walt was a genius at working it all together, and Disneyland became the place you could go to and actually live and be a part of all these experiences that had come to you through media. Well, cut to the 80s, and we now have a situation where Disney isn't on top anymore. Kids are going to see E.T., Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, and of course, Star Wars, which sort of led the whole effort there. I was always intrigued by risk. I've always found it's kind of an adrenaline rush, but it's what makes progress. And so I went forward and kind of, stuck my neck out to defy a lot of things. The fans who would be, I knew, upset about changing the whole ethos of Disneyland from being something Walt created to what others were doing. But this was, almost 20 years after Walt's passing. Also management. We had never gone to the outside. And we were dealing with a ride system that ultimately was never tested before in a entertainment utilization. So it was a big risk on this thing. But we, under Ron Miller, we met George Lucas in a preliminary meeting, and we all got along well. And when Michael Eisner joined the company, it seemed perfectly natural to him and away we were going. And so with all those three things about letting the fans down, breaking the corporate culture, and a ride system that nobody knew if it would even score well with the public, it actually turned out to be a winner on all those accounts, and it became a home run. And I think it became kind of the glue or the melting pot that, the cornerstone of what Disney has become since then, and under Michael Eisner and Bob Iger to follow. I never dreamed that Lucasfilm would actually be a part of the Walt Disney Company back when we were thinking about doing this. But if I looked at it today and thought about it really reinforced Walt's guiding principle from the 50s that the parks had to be relevant to current culture. And by bringing Star Wars in and ultimately Indiana Jones and many more things like Marvel and so forth that we're doing now, we are right there with what the audience is expecting and grows up believing in. And this is the real genius, I think, of Disneyland. And from another standpoint, which I think we can all learn from, is that if we don't reflect current culture, we can become a museum-like place rather than being something you go to be renewed and recharged with current events. And I think, the other aspect of Star Tours, it allowed media to enter the world of thrilling experiences in dimension. So, we took now and blended film at first, but today it's now all digitally stored. It opens up so many possibilities, and so many attractions have taken us on journeys that have literally come about because of this marriage between cinematography and 3D animation and experience that have been traditionally the part of the parks. So it's a journey that's not over, and it's growing by leaps and bounds every year.
Congratulations, Tony, and thank you for being a risk taker and your commitment to innovation. And now, let's meet our next inductee.
Prior to his introduction to the attractions industry, this individual performed in a university musical comedy group and was the international head of marketing for Volvo. In search of a new challenge, he was hired to lead Liseberg Amusement Park in Sweden in 1988. He was groomed by industry icon Bo Kintorp and became Liseberg's CEO in 1993. By the late 90s, his leadership and forward-thinking vision helped rebuild Liseberg's annual attendance to 2.6 million visitors. He was also the driving force and visionary who introduced a Christmas event at Liseberg in 2000. Today, Christmas at Liseberg attracts more than 500,000 guests and has been emulated by other parks throughout Europe. He's also credited with bringing Balder to life at Liseberg in 2003. The classic intimate attraction is considered by many to be one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world. Along with being an innovator at Liseberg, he has generously dedicated his expertise and leadership to the global attractions industry. He helped put the International in IAAPA by chairing the association's International Council. He served on 8 IAAPA committees in 10 years and was the chairman of the board in 2007. He also played a key role in the development of the Euro Attraction Show, which is now known as IAAPA Expo Europe. He served as the chairman of the Board of Governors for Liseberg's prestigious Applause Award, and he was chairman of Europarks. For his visionary leadership and impact on uniting the global attractions industry, IAAPA is proud to bestow its most prestigious honor and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Mats Wedin.
"33 years ago, I lit a fire in this fireplace, and to light it, I used an old newspaper. In it was an ad for a job that I was interested in. So the next day I called a headhunting company. Unfortunately, this position was filled, but then they asked, would you be interested in heading up the theme park in the city? After a few weeks, I had signed a contract with Bo Kintorp, and I became president of the Liseberg Park. Coincidence, luck, and maybe following an instinct, or I wouldn't have made it into this fantastic industry. First, I want to thank the committee and the people who have nominated and endorsed me. It's hard to believe that my name now will go up with the greats of the industry. My thanks go to Bo Kintorp, my mentor, who introduced me to this industry and IAAPA. And special thanks go to John Graff, Clark Robinson, and the whole IAAPA staff that were so great to work with. A special thank you to Clark and John Collins, who charged me with the task to develop a strategic plan for the globalization of the association. The proposal, with offices and expos around the world and a new governance structure, was met with applause. but quite some resistance. And after the presentation to the board, I was seriously rethinking my work in IAAPA. In fact, on the flight home, I wrote a letter of resignation. But I never got to post it because a call came. And it came from the late Gary Story. He convinced me to stay on, stay the course, and run for the chairs. IAAPA Europe is dear to me. And I don't think we'd see IAAPA the way it is now with the European Expo if it wasn't for the support of three people. It's Alberto Samperla, Wieland Schwarzkopf, and Sasha Shibulka, who put the trust in IAAPA to develop the European Expo. It took a lot of convincing, but I'm very proud of where the association is today. I love this industry, but I love its people more. The only love higher than that is to my wife, Kerstin. And I'm so thankful for her love, affection, and support through my years at Liseberg and IAAPA. We now have the time to enjoy every minute of our life together. And we do.
Congratulations, Mats. Looking back on your early days at Liseberg as the park's new leader, what was your strategy for visitor growth in a park that already had a market penetration of around 30% of the country's population?
Sweden is a small country with 9 million people 25 years ago. And Gothenburg is a small city. Although the second largest in the country, it has about 500,000 people. Liseberg has always had a strong position in Sweden. And when I took over as CEO, the park had 2.4 million guests. Yet we managed to increase the park's attendance to 3.2 million guests in about 8 years. How did we do that? First, we expanded the park. We set a vision 10 years into the future and carefully carried out a strategy that meant new areas, new rides, new and unique concepts for entertainment and restaurants, and we increased the opening hours. More hours every day and more days. Instead of closing the season in September, in early September, we closed mid-October. And that meant a growth in the summer season from 2.4 to 2.7 million guests. The second one was opening up a new season, Christmas at Liseberg. Christmas in parks nowadays are quite commonplace, but then at the turn of the millennium it wasn't. And when we set out, we had hoped to receive maybe 150,000 new guests with all the lights going in the park. The result? 500,000 guests came. And that of course meant a growth of tourism in the city, full hotels and restaurants, and of course for the park also a very healthy cash flow increase. I want to thank the whole team at Liseberg for my successful 23 years at the park.
We're honoured to welcome you to the Hall of Fame, Mats. It was amazing to hear more about your vision and strategy for Liseberg's growth. And now, let's meet our final inductee.
He answered an employment ad in 1988 that ended up changing his life and the attractions industry forever. He started out as manager of electrical and electronics engineering at Walt Disney World, but was steadily given greater responsibilities as his expertise and passion for safety, global standards, and innovation were recognized around the globe. In 1999, he was promoted to Vice President of Design Engineering and Regulatory Compliance, and was deeply involved at IAAPA, serving on numerous committees, including Government Relations, Safety, and New Technology Awards. He was also the chairman of the IAAPA board in 2017. In 2002, he was the first person promoted to Vice President and Chief Safety Officer for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. In this global position, he continues to have a significant impact on the industry, helping to develop and advocate for global safety standards, meeting with industry leaders and government regulators around the world. On top of all that, he's also an inventor who has 80 patents to his name. He created numerous innovations that have improved attraction accessibility for guests with disabilities, developed RFID-enabled merchandise that interacts with the park environment, and greatly enhanced the guest experience. Perhaps his most notable innovation is Disney's FastPass, a game-changing virtual queuing system. His inventions have inspired similar developments throughout the industry and have even been adapted to enhance the guest experience for the U.S. National Park Service. For his inspiring innovations and tireless dedication to the safety of the global attractions industry, IAAPA is proud to bestow its most prestigious honor and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Greg Hale.
When I was in 3rd grade, my uncle gave me something that absolutely fascinated me and absorbed my interest. It wasn't a toy, and it wasn't a baseball glove or another piece of sports equipment. It was a multimeter, an instrument for measuring electrical amperage and voltage. My uncle was an engineer working for Boeing, and later for Chance Rides in Wichita, Kansas. Little did he know that he wasn't just fueling my interest in engineering, he was making my first connection into the amusement industry. I found myself at this industry and at Disney because I wanted to invent, and I knew that Disney was constantly doing things that had never been done before and doing them bigger and better than they've ever been done before. The growth of Disney parks and resorts worldwide gave me a chance to add inventions and innovations to enhance safety, accessibility, and the guest experience for all of our parks and resorts. But I didn't do anything alone. I convinced my wife, Mellie, that we would try this for 3 years, and that was 32 years ago, and she stuck with me through it all. The incredible team of Disney Imagineers and cast members who worked with me on everything that I have done and continue to do deserve more credit than I do. I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have made a career helping create the magic at Disney. I am also fortunate that Disney has allowed me to share and to learn from the entire amusement industry through IAAPA, where we all strive to bring joy to our guests and create experiences and memories that last a lifetime. That's why we never leave this industry. I am humbled by IAAPA's decision to induct me into the Hall of Fame. It is a rare and flattering honor, and I am deeply grateful. Yet, even more gratifying are the friendships and associations that I have developed over the more than 3 decades within this industry. This is an amazing association of wonderful people that are passionate about our industry, our guests, and each other. The IAAPA staff and industry leaders that I have traveled the world with have enabled us to share our knowledge with the entire amusement industry, and they have become some of my closest friends. I would like to give special thanks to Randy Davis, who was with me over the last 20-plus years, making hundreds of safety conferences and standards meetings happen around the world. IAAPA, thank you for helping me grow within this industry and giving me the opportunity to participate and eventually even lead the association. Thank you for the opportunity to watch this industry grow and to reach heights I don't believe any of us dreamt of. And thank you for this once-in-a-lifetime wonderful honor.
Congratulations, Greg, and thanks for making our industry better. Greg, you've been a tireless advocate in promoting cast and guest well-being throughout the global attractions industry. Traditionally, that's focused on making sure the attractions and facilities were as safe as possible for the guests. But within the past year, we've seen a whole new area of safety arise, that of public health within the environment of parks and attractions. What's been the result of Disney Parks' steps to reopen during the COVID-19 pandemic?
We have 65 years of experience of operating Disney theme parks in time-tested ways. Yet, in the span of just a few months, we needed to completely reinvent and reimagine our theme park experience in order to welcome our guests back in a responsible manner. From the beginning, we knew we would need to remain nimble and steadily adapt as the situation developed and new information presented itself. This is an area where IAAPA was able to step in and pull together experts and learnings from all over the world so that we could develop reopening guidelines for the entire industry. It's been inspiring to welcome our guests back to make memories with us once again. Many shared that they needed our brand of magic back in their lives. They also told us how they deeply appreciated all the health and safety measures we've implemented across our resort. Responsibly reopening our parks included such things as limiting attendance with a ticketing reservation system, requiring face coverings, maintaining physical distancing, and increasing cleaning and disinfection. Among other measures, we also added a number of additional hand washing stations and hand sanitizers throughout our resort. We're pleased at how our guests have respected and adhered to the measures we've put in place. For the most part, they understand that these measures help protect both them and our cast members. The record shows that our teams are doing a fantastic job around the world bringing the magic back to life. And I know that as more and more of our businesses reopen, we will continue to do so in a responsible way. It's a remarkable testimony to the effectiveness of working together to overcome the most challenging times our industry has ever seen.
Thank you, Greg. What an impressive list of achievements by these new members of the IAAPA Hall of Fame. Thank you for all you've done for the attractions industry.